this meeting to order of the Amarillo College Board of Regents, our regular meeting for June 30th, 2026. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate the Regents, appreciate the audience, the staff, and everyone here at the college for coming tonight. I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July week. I hope you've had a great time and will have a great and safe time coming up as we celebrate our nation's 250th birthday. That's a lot of candles, so be careful. At this time, we're going to, and as a good segue, we're going to go ahead and have our Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, let me read this statement here for regular meeting. Oh, we have to pray. It's my turn to pray. I can't forget that. If you'll all bow with me, we'll open this meeting up as we should with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for everyone here tonight. We thank you for bringing them here safely, and may they leave this place safe and as they go back home. Lord, as we deliberate and make decisions tonight, be with us and help us make those right decisions. We thank you and acknowledge your presence here in this room. Thank you for being with us at all times. And Lord, just help us to keep our focus directly on our students. Those are the people that we serve most, and help us to make right decisions for them. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. All right, now we're going to read our statement before public comments. Now is the time for public comment. Anyone may address the board on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not. If you wish to address the board, please fill out a comment request card and hand it in to us. I think I have 2. Are there any more? Okay. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started with the public comments. And we'll call to the lectern here Mike Fisher, who wants to address subjects, agenda items number 14 and 9. Mike?
Talk here at the podium?
Yeah, if you want to go up there to where we can hear you. The microphone.
I printed out mine. I think is that on the Regents? My name is Mike Fisher. I live in the city limits of Amarillo. On today's agenda, you're being asked to pass another $200,000 on the consent agenda of all things. And I think there's 4 or 5 items in there above $50,000. I'm asking that you pull that item at least off of the consent agenda to discuss. And the main reason is because you're going to be approving this before you even approve the contract. Because on number 9 is where you're approving the $200,000 for the baseball park thing, and number 14 is when you're going to approve the contract. And I find it weird that you've already paid $1 million towards this, but you haven't approved the contract. So if you guys could give some clarification to that, I hope there's a good reason, because all I could say is, what in the J. Barrett is going on here? If you were running your own household or business, would you borrow $5 million from the bank? You know, remember the credit line from Amarillo National? During all those financial problems that were going on, where there's a $20 million shortage, that we spent from the bond that shouldn't have been spent, would you prepay $1.2 million for a facility you won't be using until next year? Help me understand why this is the best use of college resources. Was there an independent cost analysis? Were there other facilities considered? Rick Klein is being rented for $1 a year, the whole park, I think, to kids in. And you guys could have took maybe some of that money. Instead of $2 million, you probably could have spent maybe $500,000 and made it to the specs of a junior college, and then there would have been a win-win. And it might have been done a lot sooner since their park's already constructed. Just some ideas here. Your responsibility isn't simply to approve payments. Your responsibility is to ask difficult financial questions before approving them. You know, you guys talk about a lot of fluff stuff. I've noticed, I was like, is this really the board's job? It seems like they're distracting y'all with a lot of things, like, hey, I want you to go to some play or go somewhere else. You guys are here to make financial decisions and catch up and ask questions. And I feel like you guys are being led down kind of in rabbit holes to kind of discuss things that aren't really within your job duties. We're borrowing $5 million while we're prepaying $1.2 million for a facility that won't be ready till next year. Can you guys tell me why that is good financial stewardship? And I gave you guys some extra reading material on those other pages behind the Jay Barrett picture and some of the highlights of what I've spoke about. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Johnny Etheridge. He will be speaking on properties on Harrison. Mr. Etheridge.
Well, I showed up and I had dinner. That's pretty nice.
I'm telling you what.
I've just noticed that these 4 homes over here on Harrison, 2212, 2216, 18, and 22, I guess 12 is the last one that you took over in 2024. I moved here in 1967 with my dad, and we watched different blocks go away where I grew up with friends and stuff, which growth was great. Partly needed parking lots and everything else. I'm just trying, we have a company called GEMS, it's Johnny Etheridge Management Services, and we do about 45% of the abandoned homes and burnt buildings and stuff through Amarillo. And working with Jason Rulesberger and Grayson Path, city manager, and all the safety. Wonder, these properties going to be put up for bid to tear down? That's what we do. And what's the process that goes through there to get on that list? Like the city, we go through walkthroughs every week on properties that they've condemned and stuff. I just would like to know how I can get in that bidding process. We do a very good job as Asset City. That's why I'm here. If you can direct me to who I contact on that.
We can tell you, there is a process that where you would bid on these when they're put out for bid. They're posted in the paper and other places.
And right now, we're just, in fact, it's on the agenda as far as approving a facilities master plan that we're going to be doing. And so those homes are going to be part of that plan, which should be done within the next 6 months. And then we'll know which way we're moving forward with that.
Yeah, we do a lot of abandoned homes and stuff that, it's sad, some of them, people call and there's still people going in and out of there and catch them on fire and burn them on. They do it. I don't think this neighborhood has that problem, but in the Heights and San Jacinto and other places, do this quite often. So I'm sure you're in a hurry to get those things raised and done with your master plan.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Etheridge. Appreciate your participation in this tonight. All right. So now we go into item number 6, Regents reports. The executive committee met 2 weeks ago, and we discussed several things, including the board agenda for tonight. We looked at mission, vision, and values and strategic goals. We looked at where we are in the draft of those, and we talked about the board's self-evaluation. And I want to remind the board to make sure to complete the board self-evaluation so that we may take a good look at it when we have our board retreat coming up in July. So if you didn't get that in your inbox or aren't sure what I'm talking about, please make sure that you talk to Allie before you leave tonight. She'll direct you to that link and it doesn't take that long, probably 30 minutes or 45 minutes to get that done. We want to know what your thoughts are on our board, as well as goals that we have for ourselves moving into this next year. All right. Next up, we have the AC Foundation report. Are you providing that, or Johnny? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
First off, The AC Foundation is honoring Beverly De La Bretone, who's going to be 90 years old, and she still plays in the symphony.
Wow.
She is the driving force behind the Suzuki program, and I think a lot of you who had kids growing up here may have had people in that program. So the birthday party is going to be at the Innovation Outpost, so I brought some invitations. If you didn't get one at home, some people got it mailed to them just the other day. What I understand from people in the symphony is that the symphony would not be the same without her work. And of course, the Suzuki program wouldn't have existed at all without her contribution. So July 23rd at the Innovation Outpost at 5 o'clock, a big birthday party. The foundation, once again, will have the program Keep Us Live, which several of us subscribed to last year. It's $250 for 2 tickets for 5 events. It celebrates the arts. It was really fun. The food every time was really great, and the performances were amazing. We saw some great student performances, so I encourage you to do that. And I wanted to give you an update on athletics. The foundation's been working on kind of equalizing the athletics because baseball's gotten a lot of attention, but the volleyball women haven't gotten as much, and cross country hasn't. And so they're going to be having dinners for all the athlete groups instead of just 1 or 2 of them. And they're going to start providing food to the volleyball players like we did for the baseball team in the spring. And so I think it'd be great for the Regents together to do something for feeding athletes for baseball and volleyball. And so as these come up, I'll let you know, like what we can do to help out. It's easy, you just have to pay some money, and then some of us are there to serve it, and it's going to be easy. So that's the foundation.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that report. I'm going to let you continue on with our Amarillo Museum of Art.
Yeah, the museum was incredibly busy. We have 3 events. We had 3 events in the last month, and they are celebrating the Route 66 anniversary to a huge extent. May 30th was the opening reception for the Ed Ruscha and Ron Cooper exhibition. I wasn't familiar with these artists, but they are world-renowned artists. Ed Ruscha was featured at the Museum of Modern Art in New York in a retrospect in 2023. They are contemporaries of I'm drawing a blank, of Andy Warhol. They're 80 years old, and their art is incredible. 4 of Ron's automobiles are on the first floor of the museum, and they're gorgeous. Following that, and I have some things for you. So the museum, in honor of the exhibit, has these keychains that are very retro-looking, turquoise. So I'm going to pass those around. Everybody should get one. 2 weeks later, the museum had the opening reception for a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer, Edward Keating, called Main Street, The Lost Dream of Route 66. And I bought the book, and this is the book of photographs. Not all of these photographs are in the exhibit, but these are very moving photographs. There's some of Amarillo in here that are also on the wall at the museum. Y'all, it's incredible to have these exhibits here. I mean, it's really amazing that we have the art that we have right now. So you got these over there. These are postcards that the museum made for the Ed Ruscha exhibition. So they're for sale in the gift shop, which is just the glass counter. At Art After Dark, we had that on Friday. We had like 360 people there eating all the pizza and drinking all the beverages they want, and it was really amazing. And we made these these bags, 3 cheese prints, printed these at the museum, and I got this one for Dr. Connor. So lots of stuff going on at the museum, all in celebrating 66. Pretty exciting.
Excellent report. Excellent report. All right, awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Next up, Panhandle PBS. Dr. Woodburn, you going to bring our report this evening?
Sorry we missed that Art After Dark. We
It's
had a
so great.
conflict. We at Panhandle PBS have some incredibly exciting news and a lineup of fantastic community events you won't want to miss. First, let's celebrate a huge win for local storytelling. Two brilliant Panhandle PBS productions, Cadillac Ranch and Unmodified, have been selected by the Texas PBS Made in Texas Commission. This means they'll be broadcast at every single Texas PBS station this fall. We couldn't be prouder to showcase our local culture statewide. Closer to home, we have 3 great dates to mark on your calendar. July 7th, 4 to 6 p.m., come out to PBS studio and say hello. You're cordially invited to meet and greet a special brand new PBS General Manager, Matt Franklin. Come grab a refreshment and share your warm Panhandle welcome. Saturday, July 25th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., grab the family and head over to Esker Mall for the 8th annual Chalk It Up, presented by Panhandle PBS and Amarillo College. It's going to be a vibrant morning of community creativity. And thirdly, Thursday, October 1st, fall is bringing the heat. Join us for Fire and Flavor, another wonderful savor of the goods community barbecue dinner event featuring the legendary Stephen Reichland. Be sure to look over your flyer for all the delicious details. Staff and advisory board would like to thank you for your support of Panhandle PBS.
All right. Dr. Woodburn, thank you so much for that report. Next up, Tiers. Any report?
And we met at Tiers 1, and it wasn't an awful lot of business. We discussed a hotel market study being conducted by the LW Hospitality Advisors, and there was a progress report on the update of the Center City and Increment Investment Zone final project and financing plan and Downtown Amarillo Strategic Action Plan. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you for that report. Denise Skinner, Tiers 2.
Tiers 2 did not meet. However, there is conversation at the city commission meeting, at the past meeting, of expanding the zone to include a broader swath of land. That would be next month. We'll meet and we'll be talking about that. But they did the introduction of expanding it at the city commission meeting last week, I believe.
All right. Well, thank you for that report, Denise. And then Tiers 3, Paul?
No report this month.
No report this month. All right. Anything from the standing committee on committees, policies and procedures? Okay, no report. Committee on committees. And then the finance committee.
Jay, Finance Committee met and we discussed much of the items that we discussed are on our agenda this evening. The investment policy, our investment reports that we will see, as well as we did some follow-up on our financial audit items. We also talked about cash flow projections, status, and our upcoming budget. A little discussion on what to anticipate upcoming budget-wise. So that was it.
All right. Thank you very much. Look forward to those coming up later in our meeting. Legislative affairs. Irene, no report on that. And then Kat. Peggy's not here. We have a report on that? No? Okay. All right, good. And then nominating committee, anything at all? Nothing there. All right, President's report, Dr. Connor.
Good evening. The State Auditor's Office recently completed its review of Amarillo College's compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act and Special Provision 6.5, which requires certain investment information be posted publicly. I'm pleased to report that Amarillo College demonstrated full compliance in every area reviewed, reflecting our continued commitment to strong financial stewardship, transparency, and accountability. On June 18th, we received our final performance funding payment for the current fiscal year from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board in the amount of $4.6 million. As we enter the final 55 days before the start of the fall semester, enrollment continues to track very well. As of this morning, 5,726 students are registered for fall. This is consistent to where we were at this point last year, and it's 8.5% above our 5-year enrollment average. The momentum is being driven primarily by strong dual credit enrollment and continued growth at our East Campus. Enrollment at the Washington Street campus also remains strong, tracking just below its 5-year high. This positive outlook follows an excellent summer semester. Both student headcount and total credit hours increased by about 7% over last summer. Dual credit enrollment reached 873 students, an 87% increase over the 5-year average, while online enrollment climbed to a 5-year high of 2,171 students. This fall, we'll also welcome our first class of high school graduates through our Badger Bound program. Of the 440 students identified for our inaugural Badger Bound cohort, 211 have already been awarded scholarships, and 160 have registered for fall classes. We expect those enrollments to continue growing over the coming weeks as more scholarship recipients complete the admissions and registration process. I'm excited to announce that Mr. Ramon Suarez Jr. has accepted the position of Vice President of Administrative Services. Ramon brings more than 30 years of executive leadership experience in finance, operations, and strategic planning across education, energy, manufacturing, retail, advisory services, nonprofit organizations, and both public and private companies. He earned his Bachelor's of Business Administration and Accounting from Texas A&M University and his MBA from the University of Dallas. Ramon will be relocating from Dallas to Amarillo, where he has family, and will begin his new role on August 10th. His leadership and expertise will strengthen our commitment to sound financial management, strategic investment, and operational excellence while positioning Amarillo College for continued long-term success. AC's Innovation Outpost was recently awarded a Skills for Small Business grant from the Texas Workforce Commission. This program provides training assistance for Texas businesses with fewer than 100 employees, helping fund professional development for both new and existing workers. Through this grant, AC will expand workforce training opportunities that strengthen employee skills, improve workforce readiness, and support business growth throughout our region. It's another example of how the Innovation Outpost is helping meet the evolving needs of our local business community. During this month's Foundation Board meeting, I presented a proposal to use a portion of the earnings from the Mackenzie Scott Endowment to expand our highly successful STEM Scholars Program. The current STEM Scholars Program has been supported through our HSI STEM grant, which ends this September. This program provides structured academic support, career readiness, mentoring, and cohort-based engagement for students pursuing transferable STEM degrees. The results have been outstanding with significantly higher student retention, course completion, and transfer rates compared to other STEM students. As I gathered feedback for our next strategic plan, many students outside of STEM shared that they had seen the benefits of the Scholars Model and asked whether similar opportunities could be made available in their own academic areas. Over the next 5 years, this proposal would expand the Scholars Model by increasing STEM cohorts while also replicating the program in business, computer information systems, creative arts, and liberal arts. Beyond improving the student experience, this initiative directly supports the state's performing-based funding model. Although current scholars complete at rates of higher than 90%, our financial projections use a conservative 75% completion rate, which is expected to generate approximately $472,000 in additional performance funding by the end of the 5th year. This proposal provides $125,000 annually, the proceeds of about $2 million in endowed funds to support implementation during the first 2 years. Beginning in year 3, the college will gradually assume 25% of the additional annual costs each year until the program is fully supported within the operating budget. At that point, the endowment earnings would once again become available for other strategic priorities. Currently, the Mackenzie Scott funds include about $1 million in not endowed funds, $13 million in endowed funds, and $3.4 million in accumulated earnings. I appreciate the Foundation Board's support in approving this important investment in student success. Since our last meeting, I've had the opportunity to participate in a number of meaningful meetings and community connections. Much of my time has been devoted to developing next year's budget while also finalizing drafts of the college's mission, vision, and value statements and our new strategic plan. I look forward to presenting both during our July board retreat for your review and feedback before bringing them back for approval at the August board meeting. I want to thank Tiffany Crossley, Jeanette Nelson, and my cabinet members for the countless hours, thoughtful collaboration, and dedication that they've put into this work. Martin and I had the opportunity to visit Canadian for the first time and tour the Citadel Art Museum. I had an excellent conversation with the museum's executive director and curator about opportunities to partner with Amarillo College to expand arts programming and appreciation across the Panhandle, as their focus is providing art education in the schools for students who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. Thank you to Joe Bill for taking us and for coordinating the visit. I enjoyed meeting with the new CEO of the AEDC. I look forward to welcoming him to our campuses to learn more about our programs and explore opportunities to partner in developing the skilled workforce needed to support new and expanding industries. I visited Sharing Hope Ministry and witnessed firsthand the incredible work they're doing to support women in their program. The GED classes we offer through their Center of Advancement continue to be filled, and many participants have gone on to continue their education at Amarillo College through degree and certificate programs. Several members of the Amarillo College family participated in United Way's Day of Caring by completing improvement projects at the Children's Learning Center. It was a wonderful day of service. Thank you to Pam Madden for coordinating our efforts and to Irene and Fred for joining us that day. I hosted my first C3 Coffee and Conversation with Connor at our Moore County campus. It was a great opportunity to get to know faculty and staff better, answer questions, and hear their perspectives. And by the end of the conversation, I'd also agreed to try calf fries if they'll cook them for me. I attended the Panhandle Bird Club's Bird Songs and Music program. Sarah Rushing, a professor at West Texas A&M University, presented a fascinating program exploring how composers have incorporated bird songs into musical works. Amarillo College participated in this year's Route 66 Festival finale with our own community tent. We had a wonderful time visiting with community members, many of whom shared stories about attending Amarillo College or having family members who did. One phrase I heard over and over again was, "We love Amarillo College." Thank you to Johnny for stopping by to visit, and to Christopher Key for helping turn this idea into such a successful community outreach opportunity. Our Pathways coach, Dr. Spurlock, spent a few days on campus working with our team. I was incredibly proud to hear her affirm the innovative and impactful work our faculty and staff are doing to support student success. As part of Dr. Brad Johnson's doctoral leadership program at West Texas A&M, I had the opportunity to be interviewed by 2 doctoral students about leadership in the community college setting. And finally, June Jazz has once again been outstanding this year. I hope many of you will be able to join us this evening at 7:30 for the finale as we celebrate Dr. Jim Lockwood and another exceptional season of music. And that's my report.
That's it?
That's all.
You may need some oxygen after that. That's a lot of work, Dr. Connor. Thank you so much for always bringing us the information. It's fascinating to hear how you're so involved in our community and all the work that the college is doing. That concludes our reporting time tonight. We'll move on to item number 8, minutes. Now I'll entertain a motion about the minutes. Okay, Johnny? Second. And Annette, second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of our minutes, please, from last meeting, please, and that was on May 19th, by the way, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by no? All right, those minutes pass. All right, next up is item number 9, our consent agenda, and you've got that in your board packet. Michelle, you wanted to pull something out there?
I did. Interesting that Mike Fisher mentioned this, but when I looked at the agenda, I felt like we should pull out the Rock Rose Sports Park agreement so that we can just discuss it publicly and not just approve it. I mean, we've already approved it, as you know. We've approved this agreement, and we approved the deal sheet, and this is the agreement for the deal sheet. So we've already approved it, but we're going to talk about it some more.
We need to pull the payment off of the consent agenda.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So we're doing that tonight?
Well, yes, we'll pull that item off of the consent agenda and come back to it after we discuss
the agreement.
The agreement.
Okay.
That'd be the best way.
Thank you.
We can still go ahead and approve with that pulled out, the consent agenda items.
Right.
Okay.
So I move we approve the consent agenda with that.
I'll second.
That item pulled out. Okay, and second by Dr. Woodburn. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of the consent agenda approval with the item pulled out, consideration of payments of $200,000, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? All right, we'll pull that out and then circle back to it in our discussion of item number 14 when we get there. All right, thank y'all. Item number 10, the investment policy annual review. Mr. Johnny Mize is going to lead us through this item, which is in our packet this evening.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
You have the document there in front of you. The main issues that we have corrected are primarily on titles from the VP of
Administrative services.
Business Affairs to VP of Administrative Services. And it's redlined in here, so you can see that. The other issue that I think is of note is how we are requiring 2 signatures for any investments. That's, I don't remember what page that's.
6, looks like one of them's
It's
5 and
on
6.
page 5, yes. But primarily, it was just cleaning this document up to be in line with what we have been doing organizationally, as well as some of our financial procedures that we implemented.
And we're required to review CAK annually.
Annually, anyway, but these were needed adjustments, so.
Then the investment officers on page 6, it says, are the college president and vice president of administrative services, those 2 right there. The only one that's right. So, before we put it to a vote, does anyone have any questions?
I was going to see if Dr. Connor could just explain a little bit about the title change and the reason for changing the title to administrative services so that everybody understands why you're
Sure.
doing that.
So what kind of had been happening since I came is with the title of business affairs, everyone tends to think about that role has the business office. But the scope of responsibility for that role is actually much broader. A lot of that back office administrative service areas, including facilities, the bookstore and the cafe, and IT, in addition to all of the financial functions that fall under there. And so that's when I had the opportunity to review the job description. I made it a little more expansive to encompass the full role.
Great. Thanks for pulling that out, Michelle. Any other questions before we go? Okay, I'll entertain a motion concerning item number 10.
I move for approval.
Okay, Johnny? And second, Irene, Michelle? Michelle, I thought I heard somebody over here. And now, any discussion? Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with no? All right, we've reviewed the investment policy and approved the changes. Thank you, Johnny, for your work on that, and for all of the finance committee and whoever else worked on that. Thank you. Now the financial reports, item number 11. Tiffany Crossley will address the board and lead us through our financial reports this evening in item number 11. I know it's up there.
Big.
It is. I like this. I can see this, actually.
Shouldn't have any trouble seeing it tonight.
The numbers are that big.
Okay, so in your packet,
In the right places.
you have your monthly financial report through April 30th. All right, it's too big. Okay, so these comparisons, variance report is through April 2026. That first column is your 24-25 original budget that was approved by the board. Your actuals, 24-25. The third, fourth column, the FY 25-26 original budget is this last budget year, the one that we're working on right now. With your actual year to date is your September 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026 actuals. Then you have your year-over-year change and your percentage. This is what we've been presenting to you since November. So I want to point out that your state appropriation has increased slightly, 1.3 million, and that's just due to an increase based on your performance. Your tax revenue is at 3.6 million or 18%, just due to the tax revenue coming in this year is greater than tax revenue that was in 24-25. Your miscellaneous income is down $3,912,686. And funds from AC Foundation were sent over to the college last year for construction, and that has not been done this year. So that was a prior year increase. And then we have several different grants that we either didn't renew or changed from prior year. So that's where our $12 million is down in grant revenue. So total revenue is down about $10 million from last year, but that's really just in those two little buckets, so not related to performance at all. If you look at your expenses, your personnel has decreased slightly by $4.5 million or 10%. And this just holds true for what Dr. Connor and the cabinet have put in place for us to hold positions open for a while rather than refilling them as soon as a position vacates. So that's some savings there. Our supplies and travel have both been down all year, and that's just an initiative that the college has had. And our capital equipment and our other department expenses kind of go hand in hand, but they are down quite a bit this year due to the finishing of construction. Most of the construction happened in fiscal year 25, and all of that capital equipment was purchased there, as well as having your other professional fees, which were your architect expenses. So I just want to point out that under your actual year-to-date, at your grand total at the bottom, shows an revenue over expenses of $9,303,276 at the end of April. Anyone have any questions on this one?
Tiffany, I'm still trying to understand the grant revenue differential. Can you give any more insight into that?
So from year to year, grants change. So we had a large grant last year that was the Adult Education and Literacy Grant that we did not have this year. It also goes for CPD when we lost the CPD funding for Panhandle PBS. That was a chunk of grant funding that we had last year as revenue, but we don't have this year. There's some TWC skills development grants that ended, a true grant that ended. And so I could give you a breakdown of all of those next time.
Well, I'm just trying to have a better understanding of it. And then you look at the other department expenses, is another big differential. We're significantly down from last year. What was in last year that's not in there this year?
So other department expenses is, when we look at a budget, we consider it a certain object code pool. So it's kind of our catch-all of our professional fees, some software license fees. It catches the things that don't fall under this, like supplies, travel, and personnel for the most part. So really a lot of that is the architect fees. Is we had about $13 million down in architect fees from last year to this year. So that's kind of why I lumped those two hand in hand with the capital equipment expenses.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
Okay, so this is our operating cash flow. We'll start off at the bottom. That first column, and this is through April 30th, as was the other stuff. Your local maintenance and payroll at the end of April, $19,276,467. These are your operating funds. So this is what the college uses day to day. I'll point out the breakdown so you can see it now. You'll see it again in the investment statement in the next line item. But A and B is where we hold some of our funds. That's where our checking account is. We try to keep the majority of our funds in taxable as it earns interest. And so that 19, but it's easily accessible. So that $19,276,467 is the operating fund that we have held in two different locations. That bottom line where it says Cedars, those are the CDs that the college holds. So there's currently 3 CDs. 2 of them are in KACB. We lumped them together for this statement. But then one of them is also under auxiliary enterprises. Those are the ones that require the investment officer approval in order to roll those if they mature in order to reinvest them or to cash them out. All of these funds you'll be able to see again on the investment statement next. But up top in your monthly operating cash flow, in April 2026, your inflows, which is your teal colored line, was $3,546,143. Your outflows, which is the yellow line, $9,517,235. When we compare this to April of 2025, so your inflows were blue, $3,386,338, which is pretty comparable to the inflows of this year. Outflows, April 2025 is the orange line, $8,718,313. So you can see they're pretty much right on top of each other, that this April and last April are pretty much mirroring. Anyone have any questions on this one? Okay, so then we go to our ratios. So our net assets, that is our assets minus our liabilities. At the end of April, we were at 59 million, which you can see as last month in March and in February, we kind of had a decrease. So we're bouncing right back up there to where we were in about the December time. So that's a good thing. Our net position is also a slight increase in the overall health of the college, and we're now at 58.6 as our net position. In the current ratio, which is your bottom left, this is your current assets over your current liabilities. We're at 1.18. Our goal is between 1.5 and 2. So we have achieved that 1.5 back in January, but as our current assets went down to make our debt payment, then we kind of lowered back down. But we're still in a healthy status over that 1.0, which is enough to cover those bills. In our debt ratio, it's our total debt over our total assets, which we're now at 0.77, which is the first time that we have gone down since we've been showing this projection in November, or since we've been showing these ratios since November. So our goal is 0.5, but we've actually started going down. It'll be small changes overall as we pay down that debt and the assets go up, then those will change. Anyone have any questions on this one?
I better ask, if you'll go back one. This is something we talked about in our finance committee meeting, was just projected cash flow. I see our lines following, from March and April, very similar to last year, which are outflows are greater than inflows. So help me understand, how do you feel we will be considering our inflows from the state and tuition and then outflows that we have from between now and the next big state appropriation receipt?
So if we base it on kind of historics and what we can see, last year in July, we actually had more of an inflow come in than we did our outflow, because that's when we start receiving that tuition that people are paying for their August classes that are going to start in the fall. We received our last state appropriation check or deposit this month in June. So it was 4.6 million. We won't have another state appropriation come in until October. But you're going to see these expenses go up in the next several months as faculty come back on site. They're trying to get their classrooms ready. All of the things that they have to do to get ready for fall, even though we don't have a large influx of that.
Well, maybe to ask it a different way. So do we have the operating cash to carry us until we get the next state appropriation?
At this point, I think we have enough changes that we've put in place that we're going to be okay. We're monitoring things at a higher level, like leadership is looking weekly at things that are coming down from the departments for purchases to make sure that these are items that are needed right now and are not ones that can wait until October or November when that next funding comes in. So I think there are conversations that are being had that we haven't necessarily had at this point in the past. So I think we're good.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion, item number 11, to approve our financial reports. Okay, Irene, second?
Second.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion to approve our financials, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by no. All right, those financials pass. Thank you so much. Investment report, Tiffany, thank you for staying up there and leading us through our investment report.
Okay, so you have an investment report in your packet. It's for March 1st to May 31st, 2026. It's from Hilltop Securities. On page 3 of this packet is the market recap. Hilltop always provides this to kind of tell you what's going on in the market. They'll tell you about your employment, your unemployment rates, inflation. So definitely look into that when you get some time. But on page 5 is the actual portfolio overview of what the college holds. So the first box on the far left says portfolio summary. Your first column, March 1st, 2026, and down about halfway through, you have the market value. At the beginning of March 2026, we had $35,986,331.43. At the end of May 2026, we had $21,327,058.70, which is down about $14 million from March 1st to May 31st. But really, this comes from property taxes all come in December, January, and February. When those funds come in, we move most of them over into these funds that are held at Hilltop Securities in order to receive more interest. So as we don't have any more influx of revenue coming in, we start drawing this money down. So on that page where the cash flow was, and I pointed out how we had the cash in A and B and tax pool, this is primarily your tax pool and CDs. So we have just drawn this money down in the last March, April, and May to cover your expenses. There were no large unexpected expenses out of this. So that's page 5. If you'll flip to page 10, this is a breakdown of the fund. So this directly mirrors what we show you every month at the bottom of that cash flow statement. In the middle where it says current market value, that is the values that you should see when you see next month when we bring you May 31st for the financials. These numbers should match within several $100s. They closed May 31st. I think we closed May 29th. So we're a couple of days off. And every single thing that is here ties to what's presented on your sheet with the exception of the Harrington Library Consortium, since those are funds that are held, but they're not really ours. And so, and Amarillo National Bank operating accounts are not on here. If you will go to the next page, which is page 11, this has your breakdown of where your CDERs are. So you actually see that Auxiliary Enterprises has text pool. It also has a CDER. That's what you also see on that same breakdown on the slideshow, so that you can see how much is made up of what and where, and then what the maturity dates are. And on page 15, I want to point out, this is where you would see any activity that's happening on a CD. So in April, KACB actually had a CD mature. And when they did, we reached out to Dr. Connor, got her blessing in order to be able to reinvest the CD, which was directed by the management of KACB. And so you can see here the date that that CD matured, when the coupon was called, and then when they bought a new CD. So anytime that any of that stuff happens, you'll be able to also see it in every one of these quarterly investments. Anyone have any questions?
Anybody have any questions on this? All right. Thank you, Tiffany. We're going to go ahead and I'll entertain a motion concerning our investment report.
So moved.
Okay, second? Okay. It's been, motion's been made and seconded to approve our investment report. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Tiffany, we appreciate that. Item number 13, approval of master planning services agreement with Broadest Planning. Mr. Mark White.
Recall that one of Dr. Connor's early initiatives was to have prepared for us a comprehensive master plan concerning our campuses, building usage, building efficiency, all those kinds of things, assessing our real estate holdings and all of that, all of those things. It was on May 19th, our last board meeting, that we reported that out of the 7 vendors that submitted, the committee selected Broadest Planning, and it was anticipated that the flat fee for that service would be $395,850, and we're going to insist that the project be performed within 6 months. The contract was not quite ready on May 19th. I've been negotiating it since then. It is now ready. It is in your packet, and Broadest Planning has already signed it, and so we're asking for your approval tonight for this master planning agreement, 6 months for a comprehensive plan, and we've already got, subject to your approval of this document, we've already got the kickoff meeting scheduled with the Broadest Planning folks and some of us for, I think, July 6th. So we're in a hurry to get this thing started. So any questions?
Anybody have any questions at all? Okay. I'll entertain a motion concerning our master planning services agreement. Okay, Annette?
Second.
Second, David? All right. Any other, we'll go ahead and any other questions first? All right, we're going to go ahead and put it to a vote. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with no? Thank you very much, and we're ready to get going on that. We've been ready for a little bit. So awesome. Next up is item number 14. We'll go to the approval of facilities use agreement. It's in your packet for Rock Rose Sports Park. Mark White and Dr. Paul Propper will be leading us through a discussion of that.
Recall that we've talked about this a number of times. It did take some bit of time to finally negotiate and approve a final agreement, but it is in your packet ready for that. I will say that if this is approved, we will need to go back to the consent agenda and approve the first payment. Even though these contracts that require multi-year payments, for clarity purposes, I think it's best practice if we can go back every year on the consent agenda and approve the payment, even though we've approved the contract, and we still have to make the payment, but I think we need to approve it every time, just so you'll know what we're doing every time. The other thing I would say is I have handed you all a page that says revision to paragraph 15. The contract that you have in front of you, we have revised paragraph 15, and that's not in your packets, or that's not on the board book. We've handed that out, haven't we, Allie?
All of y'all have that. You should have it.
And simply put, it was at the last minute. Actually, it was yesterday that Kids Inc. and I agreed to a different type of split on the revenue. And it simply says if we sponsor a tournament where this field is used, that we retain 100% of the entry fees and gate receipts. Kids Inc. retains 100% of the concession revenue. That was something that was important to our baseball coach, and the previous paragraph 15 was imprecise anyway. So I'm going to ask for approval of this contract as paragraph 15 is amended with this piece of paper you have, and Paul, you may have some things to report.
Yeah.
So once this was put as an agenda item, I was asked just to give a background of how we got here since we started athletics and how we got to working with Rock Rose and Kids Inc. If you'll remember, when we restarted athletics, we had several key people that helped us get Hodgetown. That was Jerry Hodge and then Tony Inzer, the general managers. What that gave us, it was a huge advantage in recruiting, first of all, to have that field. And second of all, it's arguably the best college baseball field in the country. It's MLB standards for the teams that play there. In fact, this year, again, Johnson County Community College played there. They've come the last 3 years. They showed up 3 years ago. They come from Kansas City, where it's really cold in February, and they asked, could we come here every year? This is a good team. They won the World Series for community colleges this year, and they want to come play at our field because we really have the best field that they can play on. So we had that for our games. We play about 7 4-game series weekends out there. However, the biggest problem when we started was we need a practice field. We can't practice on their field. We need a place for scrimmages. And then, as you recall, the last few years, Hodgetown has had mandated updates that MLB put in that required us not to be able to use those fields at the time. So originally, we had an agreement with the city. So Rick Klein, we had the large field at Rick Klein that we were able to use. The city asked for around $12,000 in improvements for us to use the field. They agreed to maintain the field for us so we could have scrimmages, some of the fall games against other community colleges. Not want to put a blame anywhere, but that field was not playable for even a high school team. It was really just, you took your life in your hands if you were playing infield out there. It was terrible. And so there was just no way we could use that field. No teams would have played us there. So that was one we started out with, didn't work. So Mark looked at some other options. One was building a field on West Campus. We have some land out there. That was going to cost, depending on whether it was a grass field or turf, $3 to $4 million for just the field. That's not restrooms, that's not everything else that goes along with that. $3 to $4 million for a field out there, and if it was grass, then that would require maintenance, watering. So that was really just, there's no way that would work. So luckily, AISD stepped in and gave us some temporary time at Tascosa for a few, practices, but mainly at Amarillo High. They have a turf infield, and they were able to share that with us. The problem was there were some scheduling conflicts. If there was an early game for a playoff, or if I think they start practices around 1:30, and our students weren't able to attend classes because they had to take online because they were having to practice during their classes out there, so they'd take online classes. So it just didn't work over time. It was great that they were allowed us to do that, but it just didn't work for the long term. So we were approached by Jimmy Lackey and Rock Rose about a combined effort to use the fields they were building. One other reason that Rick Klein doesn't work as well, it's so overcrowded. There's 6 fields out there for about 2,000 kids. It's filled on the weekends. There's tournaments. There's no way to schedule all at the same time, even if you could keep the fields up. So when this opportunity came along, the first thing we did, obviously, how much is it going to cost? Because we got a $3 to $4 million estimate for another field. So we talked to them, and I think we sort of zeroed in on a $2 million amount for what it would take to at least have a field out there. Luckily, we have awesome donors here at AC, and John Kritzer, because we weren't doing $2 million. We decided, we couldn't do that. John Kritzer stepped up and said he would give the first $1 million if we would put in $1 million for this field. So there's been $1 million paid so far. That's all John Kritzer's money that's gone in there. So I'm so thankful for him that he was willing to step up like that. And then Mark was able to negotiate with them, and Jimmy Lackey and Rock Rose were great to say, okay, you can pay yours out over several years rather than up front. So our first payment will be $200,000 this year, and it's $200,000 for the next for a total of 5 years that we'll be paying that. So we can budget that, it's built into the budget, so we know where that is. But, thanking this for John Kritzer that was allowing us to do that. The field will be named after him, and let me just give you some more items about this, and I'll show you some pictures here. Our field was the first one that was done. Coach Raines got with them, and they did everything he asked them to do out there as far as making the field, the direction of the field, the size. It's all NJCAA, the sizes that they required. We've got the dugouts there. In the outfield, you can see that large area out there. Mark negotiated with them that we will be able to put up advertising signs, and we will collect all the revenue for that. All the high schools do that right now. It's a big source of their revenue. So we'll be able to do that. You can see here, there's going to be quite a few fields out there, but this is going to be the prized field out there, and it's dedicated 100% to us. So if we need it, we use this field. However, on weekends, if there's a tournament, I can foresee a lot of those kids playing on this field if we're not out there, because it's a championship field, and our logo's there, so it's going to be really helpful for our brand out there. Again, we have priority to the field. Tournament revenues, also we'll collect those as outlined there in the agreement. The biggest thing about this is we don't have to maintain parking, restrooms, everything else that's required out there. That if we had our own field, that would have been in addition to the $3 or $4 million that was required. So with all the fields that are out there, that parking and even the field maintenance will be covered by them. We don't have to dedicate any maintenance to the fields other than picking up the trash after our games. The biggest thing, though, is Mark was able to negotiate with them that this is not just for baseball. All of our students will be able to use this facility when it's available for intramurals. So this is not just a baseball field. This is something that all of our students can use. And if you've seen how big WT's is, we could have never afforded anything like that as a college. And all of our students and our baseball team will have access to this. So we were able to get a field basically like this for $1 million and access to all of that out there, paid out over the next few years. And I think, it's an incredible deal. I think it's going to be great for our school. And just one more thing to note, I updated with Joe Bill today. Just want to give him some kudos too, because since the restart of athletics, our donors, like John Kritzer and First Bank Southwest and others, have given us for our athletic facilities and scholarships over the last 4 years $6,112,000, which is incredible, which puts us way ahead in our revenue on that. So that's the field. Here's some more. You can see there's our logo. That'll be the brand right behind home plate. This is what it will look like when it's all done. Again, our students here will be able to use these fields for intramurals. All we have right now is Memorial. You've seen the way it's in shape and what's going on in that park over there. One more. All AstroTurf fields can play through rainouts and everything. So
Got a soccer field drawn there.
there is a soccer field drawn, because if we ever were to add soccer, then we have the use of those facilities too, and the size fits perfectly right there.
Would
So
our intramurals be able to put soccer goals up?
yeah, they'll be able to use the other
The other field?
the other fields that are out there too.
Yeah, the other soccer fields that are already.
And softball and everything else. Cross country has even talked about being able to use this for some of their training out there.
There'll
So
be some sort of stadium seating.
there will be stadium seating there and in covers over there. If you've been to some of the ones around here, I think Rick Line doesn't have it unless they've just added recently, but there will be coverings over the seating. We have the option, if we have donors in the future, to add some other things like clubhouse. But right now, really, this is what we need. So it covers pretty much everything that I think our students and our coach need. So great opportunity, and couldn't have done it without donors and the help of Kids Inc. and Rock Rose.
Amazing. When will we start using this field?
Well, that was the first one built, but they're hoping spring, early summer next year. I don't know if there's been any updates on that, because I know they've been ahead of schedule, but I don't know if we'll have to use a little bit of Amarillo in the fall, or if when we'll be able to get out there.
Jimmy Lackey says that they're ahead of schedule, so it'll be spring instead of summer. But I don't know all that.
Do you have any questions?
So this agreement follows the terms of the deal sheet, right, Mark? It just,
Yes, but it's got some more details in it.
and
But there's
and
no,
paragraph 15
no changes from the deal
but
sheet.
it follows pretty much what we agreed to in another meeting.
Right, and the reason we did that, we agreed on the deal sheet is because they need to start building this thing before we get the whole contract done. So there are no major changes from the deal sheet, just more detail.
That looks great.
Yeah, just a comment, not a question, but great job. And I think the opportunity it gives Amarillo College, not just for baseball, but for all athletics and all intramurals and activities, and the agreement, the way that it was written, to allow us to utilize those facilities, not even just this field. I think all of that is just real advantageous for the college. So congratulations, Paul, to you and Mark, for a great job on that. I think that's a great opportunity for us.
Well, the nice thing about this, it's all turf fields. You know, when I have coached my son's team and things before, we really had trouble getting other cities to come to Amarillo because they were all pretty
Goat patches.
bad fields, goat patches, you're right. And they weren't turf, so the risk was you drive all the way here and there's a rain out. You don't have the same problem. So you're going to see this facility like the one in Elk City and others that is full all the time with tournaments.
So I was going to ask you a question about that, given that we revised item, or number 15, paragraph 15. What do you estimate the proceeds to be from the tournaments and gate receipts? So just a rough guess.
I really don't. I mean, I think when we would go to tournaments, you know, it was probably around $800 to $1,000 per team that would come in. WT's hosted some of those that would have 8 or 10 teams that would come in. It really just, you know, I can see AC hosting some, you know, showcases for juniors and seniors to come in and play in a facility like this. So I really can't give you that estimate yet, but you know, the revenue between the advertising in the outfield and then the tournaments should help us to fundraise if we want to add anything else out here to our field.
I can tell you that Coach Raines tends to be very aggressive in hosting events that can make money.
I believe you.
So
So what do we have in the way of parking? Do we have any idea of how much parking there is?
I don't know how much is over here, but I mean, it's a pretty massive parking lot to allow for this whole facility.
Revenue on the outfield signs, where does that go?
We collect 100% of the revenue on the outfield signs all the way around for this.
You know, that can be a substantial amount of money. I was part of a booster club the year that came into fruition at Tascosa, and we used that revenue to totally revamp Tascosa's field, and you know, it paid for it.
I remember that was about $1,000 per year per sign, or $2,000 for 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few signs. I don't really know how many we'll be able to have. The outfield, center field will have to have the batter's eye. Of course, you can't have the signs there, but all the rest of the areas you can. So.
and Kids Inc. will take the revenue from the signs in the shaded area, in the shaded seating stands. They'll have some signs there too, but they'll take that revenue.
Of the 9 million that we've gotten from donors, is
6.1.
6.1, sorry. Was some of that scholarship oriented? I mean,
Some is
or-
scholarship, some is pledged. Can't disclose that yet, but let's see, scholarship so far is going to be around, it looks like 1.6 for scholarships, and then at least 4.1 for construction and field and First Bank Southwest.
All right. Great report. Thank you so much, guys, for bringing that to us and give us some more information. I'll entertain a motion concerning the approval of facilities use agreement for Rock Rose Sports Park, including the revision in paragraph number 15.
I move approval.
Okay, Dr. Woodburn?
Second.
Second. Johnny, thank you very much. Any further discussion? I'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with no? All right, that motion carries. Let's go ahead and circle back around then to our consent agenda item number 9, where we pulled the consideration of the second, or of the payment for amount of $200,000. Any other discussion on that? Does everybody understand what we're doing?
We're just honoring our original agreement, what we told them to do, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I move approval of the $200,000 payment.
Okay, Michelle, in second?
Second.
Okay, second, Dr. Woodburn. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? All right, that motion carries. Thank you so much. Item number 15, request for approval to purchase dental hygiene student kits. Dr. Frank Sobey, please bring us this information.
Thank you, sir. So we're asking for your approval of a one-time purchase of dental hygiene student kits. These kits allow our students to enter the dental hygiene program fully equipped for the fall of 2026. The amount that we're asking approval for is not to exceed $150,000. And after discussion, the board may wish to approve the purchase of these dental hygiene student kits. Any questions?
So we do this every year?
We started doing it last year. Historically, students have kind of been left to their own device to purchase contents of these kits, but doing it this way allows us to bundle the kits and have them ready for students on day one. And then we recoup the cost through fees.
Is it primarily instruments?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then what happens to the instruments at the end of the year?
To the what now?
What happens to those instruments after the student graduates?
My understanding is that they keep the kits.
They get to keep them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They use them,
Yeah.
provided they're still usable, I suppose.
They haven't broken any.
And Dr. Sobey, just our dental hygiene program has always been very well attended. Do we still have a lot of students who want to get into this program?
We do.
Yeah.
We do, yes.
Okay. And there's a waiting list, basically? I mean,
Waiting list, we accept about 25 students in a cohort.
I know there's a lot more who want in.
They're very active in our dental clinic as well,
Yes.
and they do very well in the program.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, I'll entertain a motion concerning item number 15.
Move for
I move approval.
Okay, Dr. Crawford, and
Second.
Dr. Woodburn, second. Y'all can fight over who's first and second.
Doctor.
Doctor. All right, any other discussion? All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with no? All right, that motion carries. Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Sobey. And then item number 16, the request for purchase of GateSair VAX-T-A and filters for the KACV TV station. Mr. Kevin Ball is going to talk to us about this need.
Yes, this is a continuation and a final piece of the PBS funds that you approved receiving like 3 months ago, I believe. So the best value invitation for bid was publicly advertised in the Amarillo Globe News on May 10th and May 17th of this year. The proposal response bid documents were secured by one prospective firm, resulting in the submission of one formal submission. Recommended vendor, the highest evaluated vendor is GateSair LLC. And again, the funding source was from the PBS Bridge Fund that we received earlier this year, and it's in the amount of $150,468.57.
Move for approval.
Net, second? Okay, Irene, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Kevin,
Yes.
how much was that grant? It was 700,000?
$730,000.
And then, and we've done a couple of purchases, so.
This is the third one.
Right, so
Yes.
where are we now?
We're right at the end of it, and actually, we have a fund in the PBS, in what she was talking about earlier, we probably will need about another $10,000 out of that fund, but it's earmarked for technology, so it was a really good deal to get $730,000 for a $10,000 expense.
Awesome. Yeah,
For sure.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with no? All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Get to purchasing. All right, we are going to skip item number 17. We're going to not go to that this evening, and we're going to go right into item number 18, a closed session. There will be a closed session, so the Regents may consult with the college attorney to seek his advice on confidential legal matters pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. President Dr. Jamel Connor and Counsel Mark White will be asked to stay. No final decision, action, or vote will be taken in closed session. The time is 7:15 p.m. It is now, let's see, the closed session is concluded. No final decision, action, or vote was taken in the closed session. We now convene an open session. It is now 7:21 o'clock, and a quorum is still present. We now address agenda item number 19.
Move to adjourn.
Second, Annette, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed with no? This meeting is closed. It's adjourned. Thank you.
Mark Casey, what's the next?